Of course, the reason why rook e4 instead of immediate rook e3 is because he's giving him this revealed tactical threat. So, for example, if we entered a null move for a null move for black in this position, sorry, got it slightly wrong. So after rook e4, if we were to enter in a null move for black, then of course white would have the immediate bishop e5 check, which is of course the revealed attack on the queen. So after rook e4, black is immediately worried about that, so he goes to queen h5, and then rook e3. I was a little surprised at this. I thought maybe instead, to accomplish a similar feat, that Fischer would play bishop to g3, but this is better, and he will show why that is in a very moment. The thing that he points out is the immediate threat is, let's assume a null move for black, is of course rook h3, and then if queen comes back, rook g3 has the pin. So black plays f5, and then you still have rook h3, and the queen goes to g8 because, of course, queen g6 allows rook g3, says Fischer, queen e8, and then Fischer plays bishop e5 check. Fischer writes that at this point, white can pick up a couple of exchanges and have a comfortable game. He points out that after bishop h6 check and the king moves, bishop takes rook, queen takes rook, or queen takes bishop, bishop takes bishop, bishop takes bishop. And then white has a much better game. He has a queen and two rooks versus a queen, a knight, and a bishop. So he's up the exchange twice, and black really doesn't have a lot of counterplay. White should be just fine winning this game. But as Fischer writes, he says, but by now, even though I can go up a couple of exchanges, I felt there was more in the offing. And Fischer was indeed correct, which is why instead of going for the exchanges, he goes right for the jugular. Fischer plays bishop e5 check. And then knight f6. Fischer points out that king g8 is fatal. King g8, rook g3, king f7, rook g7, checkmate. So, knight f6, and then Fischer is able to play the, I don't want to say quiet, but he plays queen d2, and this move, though subtle, I mean, he's now attacking these dark squares. This is now here, this is now here, and so maybe Fischer should have made this move with his pinky as a subtle nod to the actual subtle brilliance of this move. And then king f7, queen g5, and then Sherwin plays queen e7. Fischer points out that the alternative, king e7 and then rook h7 check, is devastating. He doesn't give the reasons in his annotations for why, but I can show you real quick. We'll just look at some of the different responses. So if he plays king a7, then there are a number of ways that after rook h7 that black can be punished. So try something obvious, rook f7. If rook f7, then queen takes, and of course the rook is now pinned, so he can't take back. So if he goes here, well, then that's checkmate in one, so he's not going to go there. So king d7, rook takes, and then, of course, that's checkmate. But instead, right, I mean, he can't go down, right? There are no squares to go to. These bishops are too strong. So either way, that's just totally devastating either way. So queen e7 is the better move. And then bishop takes, queen takes f6, rook h7, and then there's just no way for black to win. After queen takes, one of the things that I expected maybe queen takes queen, rook takes queen, and then after Rook takes queen, bishop takes rook, and now white is up a whole rook and wins the endgame easily. Instead, Sherwin takes the rook, but then Fischer just plays bishop c6 check, and Sherwin resigns. Just to show a couple of different variations. So if he plays rook d7, well then that clearly loses quickly. I mean, queen takes e6, king d8. He loses the exchange again, and now it's queen and rook versus bishop rook. Queen versus bishop. White wins that endgame easily. If you try something else, like bishop d7, it's still no picnic because white can very quickly force a queen versus rook endgame where white also has a huge advantage in passed pawns, which again is a very, very easy technical win with the white pieces. So Fischer shows some real brilliance in his attack, and Sherwin very, very quickly falls once he gets it going. And it's really amazing how Fischer, with his tactics, it's so tempting to pick up the material, but Fischer is able to resist the urge and go for the jugular. So this has been game one of Bobby Fischer's My 60 Memorable Games. It's very, very instructive, and I hope you have enjoyed going over it with me.